Coming this fall from SJS Direct, Easting the Sands of Time. It's action, adventure, and romance in ancient Egypt in this fantasy flashback Easting series adventure. Pre-order Easting the Sands of Time today on Amazon.com. I watched a video recently of a black woman who was punched in the face by an Asian store owner. And the week before that, I saw several Asian workers in a nail salon beat a black woman over a $5 eyebrow wax gone wrong. Now, when it comes down to these black women being manhandled, beaten, and abused by these Chinese, Korean, Arab, and Indian store owners, this is a very troubling trend that is emerging. However, this trend is emerging after 50 years of feminism and black women continuing to drink the poison Kool-Aid of white feminists who told them they were strong, independent, and did not need a man. And after 50 years of driving away black men out of their communities and alienating black men from their communities, karma has come back to most of these black women in these communities. Because the reason why so many black women are being manhandled, beaten, and abused by these Arabs, these Koreans, these Chinese, and these Indian store owners is because you do not have any men in your community to protect you. Because in a community where you have men to protect you, those store owners know they have to respect male authority. Because where there is male authority, the store owners understand there is a boundary that they cannot cross, and if they cross that boundary, they're going to have to deal with the men of that community. But because the black woman has driven the black man out of their communities, what has happened is their communities have been left vulnerable to these scavengers and these predators. And these scavengers know that they have complete control over that economy, and because they have complete control over the economy, and that there are no men to protect the community, they feel they have the impunity to do whatever they please. Because when it comes down to this so-called thug is a beta male. And this beta male is too busy getting in the face of another man to think about doing his duties as a man. And the reason why he really can't do his duties as a man is because he had no father to raise him to be a man. Because if he had his father in his life, he would understand that his duty is to protect his community and make sure that the women in his community are safe. However, thanks to these white feminists, what has happened is this black woman believes that she can do this type of work. But when we see what's happening right now, it's clear that your black woman is not as strong or as independent as she believes. Because if she were so strong and independent and did not need a man, then why are these Chinese, Arab, Korean, and Indian store owners beating her up, manhandling her, and tossing her around? And the reason why they're doing that is because they look around these black communities, they look at these beta male thugs with the sagging pants, with their butts out, and they see how weak these men are. They see how sorry these men are. And because they see how weak and sorry these men are, they say to themselves, I can do whatever I want with impunity because there are not going to be any consequences for my actions. So that's why you will have a Korean store owner beating up a black woman over a $5 item in their store that they believe that they stole. And this is why you will have them fighting over these little eyebrow waxes and trying to get the money back. Because they know that they don't have to deal with any ramifications or consequences And because they know that this black woman is codependent, they know that she will be back the next day, even if they abuse, manhandle, or beat her. They know that the community is so weak that these black women, even after being beaten and manhandled, will be back the very next day to go buy the same services from the same stores that have no respect for them. And the reason why these stores have no respect for these women is because many of these women have no dignity, no self-respect, and no self-worth. And because they have that, they have low self-esteem. And they teach that culture to their sons, who many times see their own mothers being manhandled, beaten, and abused. And that's one of the most sad parts of this, is that this child is learning from this situation, and they're learning from this situation that a black person has no power because his mother puts herself in situations where she can be beaten, manhandled, and abused, and that no men will go out to support her. And the reason why no men go out to support her is because she continues to follow a feminist ideology that does not include her. It's like Mr. Superboy said in his video a couple of days ago about these Asian stores. These feminists, these Me Too women, none of them are coming out to talk about the violence perpetrated on these black women who have been being manhandled and beaten and abused in these foreign stores for at least 5 to 6 years now. And when I take a critical look and a panoramic perspective at this abuse of black women, it's clear to me how the situation between black men and black women have deteriorated. Because when it came down to black women, at least 25, 30 years ago, if a black woman had been beaten up in a store by these store owners, those black people would have organized a boycott against that store, like they did back in the 1990s during the Korean black boycott here in New York when David Dinkins was mayor. But these days, we don't see that anymore. And the reason why we don't see that anymore is because relations between black men and black women have deteriorated. There's a great divide in the black community. And many of these black men who are masculine men see no reason to stand up for black women because black women completely disrespected black men. And because those black men were disrespected, they see no reason to protect an ungrateful and unappreciative woman who does not appreciate the role that a man plays in protecting his community and doing his part as a man. Because many of the beta male thugs she supported, where were those guys when these women were being beaten, manhandled, and abused in many of these situations all across the country? I'll tell you where many of those beta male thugs were. Many of those beta male thugs were either bickering and arguing with another black man online, or they were standing outside one of these Arab-owned stores begging another man for change all throughout the day so they could get a $5 blunt, smoke it up, or they were sitting in their mama's house playing some video games. That's what these beta males were doing in most cases, because when it comes down to this beta male, he's just like the females who raised him in these single mother households. And when it comes down to these beta males, they are not equipped and prepared to protect and lead their community. And when it comes down to this black woman, she has led herself into a ditch, because when you have foreigners controlling your economy and then being so emboldened and having the impunity to go out here and beat, manhandle, and abuse customers, it shows how weak and a sad state your community is in. Because those same hair supplies, those same nails, and those same weaves that these black women go out to buy from these Asians, we should be having those businesses in our own community, and those businesses should be owned by us. Because I believe if those businesses were owned by us the way they were owned by us 35 to 40 years ago, we would not be seeing black women being beaten, manhandled, and abused by these Arab store owners, these Korean store owners, these Chinese store owners, or these Indian store owners, because we would have control over our economy. And in having control over our economy, we would be able to set a standard for our community and a standard for how we treat ourselves. And with that standard we establish for how we treat ourselves, we let others know that we will demand respect from them in the same way we demand respect from ourselves. And that's what's really bad about these situations, is it shows how little respect we have for ourselves, because when it comes down to most black people, they don't have enough respect for themselves to say, I'm just not going to go to that Korean nail salon, that Arab grocery store that sells me stale food, or that Chinese food restaurant that gives me substandard food, or the Korean or Chinese nail salon where they give me bad customer service. As a black person, we have to say to ourselves, we deserve better, we demand better, and we insist on having high quality for ourselves. And if you demand high quality for yourself and demand high standards for yourself, you're not going to even think about going into these establishments, because you have to say to yourself, I am a human being and I deserve a certain level of service, a certain level of professionalism. And if these people don't want to give me professionalism, then I don't need to go into their establishment. And if I really love myself, I'm going to do business with people who look like me in my own community first, and give those people money so they can give it back to my own community, not enrich others who have such little respect for you that they will either try to sell you stale or expired food, give you bad customer service, give you an attitude, or feel like they have the audacity to put their hands on you if they believe you stole something, or people who want to believe that they can be hostile to you towards you when you come into their business. What most black people need to understand is this concept I learned many years ago. It is my money, and people have to earn my money. And if they want to earn my money, they have to provide me with a certain level of service that meets my standard, not theirs. And they have to provide me with a certain level of quality that meets my standard if they hope to earn my money, because it is my money and I can choose to spend my money with whoever I want to. And the black dollar has tremendous value, and black people need to start understanding the value of the black dollar, because the black dollar is power. And the big problem with most black women is they don't understand the power of their dollar, and they'll spend it with an Arab, Korean, Chinese, or Indian person who disrespects them, and not try to spend it with black people who want to show them the respect they deserve and give them the quality of service they should have every day. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to buy some of my SJS Direct publications, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, The Temptation of John Haynes, the Spinsterella trilogy, and my nonfiction books, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.